Now, it's time for Spotlight on Business, where every week we put the spotlight on a different local business so you can find out how they serve you and the community. Now from Michiana's Morning News, it's Laura Smith.
Welcome to the Merchant Alliance show for downtown Elkhart, where so much is going on right in the heart of the city with a heart. And downtown is my home. It's where I live. I personally chose to move there because, well, I knew there was a renaissance, so to speak, when I moved back in 2020. I just had a feeling, and it's turning out to be very true, and I couldn't be happier with my choice to move there. But I digress, because really who we're going to talk to today is part of a renaissance, and I love that kind of feel towards what Bill Firstenberger does. He's the executive director of Ruthmere Arts and History Campus, which is their new moniker, by the way, that you're unveiling here right on the show today.
Right here.
Bill,
That's
it's always a pleasure to have you. I love having you on. So interesting. And the Ruthmere is really, truly the gem of downtown Elkhart. The Ruthmere Museum and my great-uncle and great-grandmother's home, the Havilah Beardsley home.
That's right. You know, you and I have a lot of similarities because I didn't move as far away as you did, but I came back to Elkhart for many of the same reasons, and I beat you back by about 10 years because I've been Ruthmere's director now for 16 years, but I came back to my hometown for many of the same reasons. I saw great potential, and things were on an upswing, and I wanted to be part of that and be part of rebuilding my hometown for a better place for everybody.
Well, they picked the right person because you have really the sensibilities, I think, of somebody from like our bigger cities in the country. But again, with the heart for someone who loves downtown Elkhart, as we all do, it's just so good to have you. And I love that there really is a curator, so an expert on these beautiful properties in Elkhart. They are iconic. And so let's just give a little background for maybe those of you who haven't heard about what all Bill has done and what the Ruthmere, what it means to downtown Elkhart and the Havilah Beardsley home.
Well, it makes me very uncomfortable when you say what Bill has done. So there are many, many hands, and I work for a fabulous board of directors, and we have a great staff. But I do have the privilege of having a leadership role. So thank you for that. But sure. Ruthmere Arts and History Campus. What does that comprise, and why are we a campus? So we are a 2 historic house museum campus. We've been operating Ruthmere Mansion for over 50 years. It opened in 1973. We've been operating the Havilah Beardsley House 2 blocks to the west of Ruthmere at the northwest corner of Beardsley and Main Street for 11 years now. And this year, 2026, on April 1st, we opened the brand new Beardsley Discovery Center, which is just to the north of Havilah Beardsley House. It's actually part of the old original Havilah Beardsley House farmstead. So that and that new facility is, you know, in big part what I'm here to talk about today.
I know. It's so exciting. So I remember as a little girl, I lived at Simonton Lake with my family. I was 4, 5, and 6. And we would go, I don't know, maybe once a month or so to visit my great-grandma Smith at the Havilah Beardsley home, where my Uncle Doc was a renowned chiropractor. Actually, he was one of the first chiropractors in the United States. I think he was in the first graduating class of the first chiropractic college, if I have my history right about family history. And they lived there for years and years and years. And we would go. My dad always claimed he was my great-grandma's favorite grandson. So we would go, and Grandma would have, as we walked in the door, first of all, you could see the carriage house. We would park between the carriage house and the house. And the carriage house is what you're now referring to as the
Discovery Center. That's right.
The Discovery Center, which is just thrilling. And when I saw it being restored and refurbished, I was so thrilled. But we'd walk in there, and the sugar cookies, they were just wafting through that, that ginormous kitchen with the tall ceilings. And then one of them would hand us a 50-cent piece. And so that's what I remember from my visits there. I'm still looking for my 50-cent pieces.
Yeah.
I don't know if my parents
bury them in the walls.
Well, they may have said, we don't trust her to keep these. I did find a bag of 50-cent pieces the other day, so that could be it. But what great memories for me as a child. But I'm so grateful that everyone had the foresight to turn it into a monument and a museum, because Havilah Beardsley was the first.
We refer to Havilah and Rachel Beardsley as the founding family of Elkhart. Of course, Native peoples were here long before the Beardsleys were here. But the story that's really interesting about the relationship with Chief Pierre Moran and Dr. Havilah Beardsley is that it was a very positive one, rather unusual for the era of the early 19th century, that you didn't have American settlers kind of muscling in and taking sometimes gross advantage of the native peoples in order to essentially wrench or steal the land from them. Dr. Beardsley and Chief Pierre Moran had a positive relationship. Too long about to talk about on this little show that we're on today. You'll have to come to Havilah Beardsley House to hear all about it. But it's one of the things that sets the tone for the values of Elkhart as a city. And those values continue on to this day.
That makes me so happy. What a wonderful legacy to know that maybe that was a relationship at a time when those relationships were fraught with discord and so much, sadness in many ways of, being taken over and such, to know that they had a good relationship. Well, but isn't that what Elkhart has to offer? It is the city with the heart.
Right.
And the people here is what I miss living 42 years in New York. Not that they're not nice people, but there's something about Elkhartans in general that I adore, and it's so exciting. Okay, so how long did the Beardsley family actually inhabit and live in that house?
So that's 1848 is when the oldest part of the Havilah Beardsley House is constructed, and they lived there, descendants or extended members of the Beardsley family, through 1912. And at that time, the house, enters into different hands. Before that, the carriage house, which is now the Discovery Center, was released from the Beardsley family holdings. That was sold off by Susan Ray Beardsley. And so just a few years earlier than that. And so there's a timeline with that building too. And so I know that when you visited as a young girl, that was not part of Dr. Smith's holdings. That was the neighbor next door, and so there's like two parallel histories that go on with these two houses. Yet they started out together, and now they're together again. And so that's the part that we feel like, and we're in the business of historic preservation, and it's gratifying to be part of bringing that back together and to be able to tell the story in a very authentic way.
Well, I think we're very fortunate that whomever the Beardsley woman sold it to did not do what, unfortunately, a lot of iconic buildings in Elkhart, could go the way of the
wrecking ball. Yeah,
exactly.
For sure. So the interesting part of the Discovery Center is that it has shifted and changed so many times. It started out as an agricultural outbuilding for the Beardsleys. And within 15 years of when it was sold off from the Beardsley family, it had been converted from an ag building, and then it was a blacksmith shop, and it was an auto garage for a while, and it was converted into a residence house. And 100 years ago this year, in 1926, it was converted into a residence. And so then it had a series of residential owners. And there was, unfortunately, a rather devastating fire that occurred in 2020. No one was injured, thankfully. But that fire that made it an unlivable property was kind of the impetus to us developing an opportunity to come in and say we would like to put the properties back together again. And the owner was very helpful and supportive of that fact, and has always honored the history of the property. as our neighbor to the north, he readily agreed, and then we began a very long process, and that's opening now, 6 years later.
It's so exciting. Is there going to be a ribbon cutting or something like that?
There is. We are open for business right now. So we opened on April 1st, but there is a grand opening event on May 1st. It's for our donors, our members, and it's a private event on that afternoon of May 1st with the ribbon cutting. There will be a free open house that weekend on May 3rd, Sunday afternoon, May 3rd, our Free Family Sunday series at Havilah Beardsley House and the Beardsley Discovery Center. So that's kind of the public grand opening, then open house. So, but
I wonder
it's
if
open
I
right
can
now.
score a ticket to the very private ribbon cutting.
You might be able to.
We can talk offline about that.
We have a great lineup of speakers.
Oh, how thrilling. Very exciting. So what is it going to do? What is it going to be?
Absolutely. So it's not really anything without a purpose, right? And so first of all, people need to understand that we've had these two house museums that we've been running now for a number of years, and we've never had an open door to the public. It sounds silly, right? But you come to either one of our houses before, it's kind of like coming to the radio studio here. You're greeted by a locked door. Now, you guys do that for security reasons. We did that for security reasons, too. We knew if people were coming, if it was an appointment, or they had a little ringer bell thing with a squawk box there, and we could talk to them. It was a horrible way to greet visitors and guests, and we needed to up our game. So now you have a beautiful, nice entryway. You walk in, there's a welcome desk, a person to talk to you and explain what all they can do at the Ruthmere campus. And also, we have two new wonderful orientation videos, one that's made for kind of the general visitor, one that's geared toward kids. That we use our Mousely animated family. That we have a book series that we started a few years ago, and so we expanded on that and made a whole video with the Mousleys, this little family of mice that live in the garden shed at Ruthmere, that narrate for younger kids the story. So trying to hit all generations in learning the history, and then the third facet. So you can begin your tours right at Beardsley Discovery Center now with a welcoming experience. The third big thing is that we have the new Family Tree Explorer program that we're offering free of charge to the public. Everybody's into learning about their ancestries, their family history these days.
This is what I love.
We have a place where you can come, sit down at a workstation, and for free of charge, we have all the subscriptions to all the big databases. We will help coach you through it, whether you've never taken a glance at your family tree history before, or you just want access to all these great databases that we've subscribed to. We'll help you one way from beginning to end of that process.
What an incredible gift to the community this is. I have friends who are Mormons, and they do that in the church. That's the right. Book of Mormon. That is what it is. It's a lineage document, book of records.
So our curator, Jennifer Johns, is a Latter-day Saints practicing individual, and she is leading this this program, and the best person we could ever possibly have. And so I won't get into why Mormons do that, but it's very important for their religious belief that you are able to know your entire family lineage, so you know who to pray for the people that weren't around before Joseph Smith.
I love the concept. It's a beautiful thing, and already here, coming down the grand opening on the 1st, that's private, but on the 3rd of May, it's going to be a family day.
Let's just call May 3rd the public grand opening.
Public grand opening of the Havilah Beardsley. Tell us the name exactly again.
Discovery Center.
Beardsley Discovery Center.
Right. But that day, Havilah Beardsley House will be open free of charge as well. And
my gosh. Yeah. Well, it sounds absolutely magnificent. What a great asset to our downtown area, and for the preservation of history, which I don't think there is anything more important for a city is to be able to preserve its history, carry it on its legacy, and teach future generations all about it. Because when you know where you came from, you certainly have a better idea of where you're going. Bill Firstenberger's here. He's the executive director of Ruthmere Arts and History Campus, its new moniker, and we're so grateful. When we come back, we want to hear more, and of course, what's going on with Ruthmere itself, and also one of my favorite kind of parties to go to, the Kentucky Derby party. All right. It's all here on the Merchant Alliance Show. Hey, if you want to know what's going on in downtown Elkhart anywhere, there's a great website, dodowntownelkhart.com, and everything is there. We'll be right back with Bill. Don't go away.
Podcasts by Federated Media.